Okay, so we're gonna just look at the 10.24 patch notes that came out a couple hours ago. This is like the quick overview. They buffed Trinmere and Varus, nerfed Amumu, Hecarim, Kayle, Samira, and updated Yasuo and Yone. Some new skins and the item changes. Blade King's a little nerf. Cosmic Drive a little buff. Demonic Embrace, Eclipse, Ember Knife a little buff. Essence Reaver, Kraken Slayer, Leandri's Anguish, Lichbane, Luden's Tempest, Moonstone Renewer. So yeah, we're gonna see all that in the patch notes. So a couple of these I definitely agree with. Some of them I don't really know too much about because like I don't play AP characters, so I don't have a really good feel for like the strength or the weaknesses of the different AP items, so I can't comment too much on that. But like I've heard people talking about it, but you know, sometimes I hear people talking about stuff and like I can't really like, you know, say too much in terms of like I agree or I disagree or I know or I don't know or whatever, just because like those aren't the items that I buy, so all I really see are people using them. Okay, so Moon was getting a little nerf on his W, and apparently a bug fix where apparently sometimes it was doing its damage at a faster rate than it normally would. This isn't that big of a nerf in all honesty. It's like a tiny little bit less damage on his W, and then the damage ratio for the AP, but like, you know, where the Amumus I've been seeing and everyone's been seeing building AP, not really. I mean, they were building like Sunfire with maybe like Demonic Embrace or whatever, I guess. I don't know. I think they were building Demonic Embrace if they got ahead, but it was mostly like a tank Amumu, I guess. So, but it is a small little nerf that will help make Amumu a little bit so apart. I think the main thing for nerfing Amumu is going to be more about his items than the character itself, probably. This Hecarim nerfs. Hecarim is really strong now, really strong. I think he's just doing all right in like low elo and stuff, but like in high elo where people are like farming really efficiently and making good use of the new items and stuff, like Hecarim can take over games so hard, it's really ridiculous. And he's been good for almost all of season 10 as well. Like they gave him a tiny little nerf at the end, but he was really strong for almost all of it. So, you know, he kind of needed a nerf even more back then, to be honest. And with the new items and the new jungle and everything, he's been doing really well. So it's good that they're nerfing him, but these nerfs don't seem that big. It's just a little bit less AD for him from the passive and a little bit less movement speed on the E. But this bug fix where apparently sometimes he was getting more than 25% movement speed immediately after casting E, I feel like I noticed this in game, and it might be kind of a big deal because like if Hecarim's instantly getting tons of movement speed when he casts E, then that's really bad, I guess. And I feel like I saw that a couple times, but yeah, we'll have to see. But I think he might need more nerfs, or yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out, I guess, because he is really strong right now. This Kayle nerf on her passive, it's like really small. I think Kayle's another character who maybe doesn't necessarily need a nerf, more so her items or something need a nerf. Like, I don't know, she's been pretty strong right now, but I think it's mostly like with the top lane meta and some of the new items and whatever, like she's able to take really good advantage of them, so she's been pretty powerful, I guess. But yeah, this seems like a small nerf, but apparently this passive stacks up like 5 times, so it's like it adds up to be a little bit more than it seems like. Yeah, Sunder is really good on Hecarim, but so is the Trinity Force. The Trinity Force is pretty good on him too, like, but definitely the Sunder is really powerful on him. He's a really good, like, you know, just tons of built-in damage, tons of sustainability, like clears pretty quickly, just becomes super scaling unkillable like after he gets, you know, going, and it's just really easy to do that with things the way they are right now, it seems like. So Samira, of course, getting her like sixth set of nerfs in a row because she's really OP, and there's another small little nerfs like her dash range against mobilized targets is a little shorter, and her melee blade damage ratio is a little lower. I don't know how much that's going to change, but she'll definitely have like a little bit less kill potential and just be slightly less mobile. We'll see how that works out, but yeah, Samira is definitely, I mean, when she came out and still now is just a really strong character. Just really strong. So we'll see. And again, you know, with stuff like AD carries like Samira and stuff, it gets affected a lot by items. With, you know, for example, Trinmere and Varus, I think the main reason why these characters would be changed is because of the items. Like Trinmere, a lot of Trinmere players have been complaining that he doesn't feel any good with the new stuff. So the crit changes and stuff. So yeah, they're giving him a little bit more AD from his Q and his passive or whatever. So hopefully that will make Trinmere players feel a bit better on their character. There's a lot of actually like Trinmere feels like a character you don't see that often, but there's a lot of really dedicated Trinmere mains out there. Like he's got a good following, so you got to make sure that he's actually in a good shape. Yeah, Trinmere can definitely be annoying, but you know, everyone in League of Legends has got to have some stuff they can do. Otherwise, they shouldn't be in the game. So Varus, though, Varus towards the end of Season 10 didn't really feel like that good of a pick. And I don't know how he's doing with the new items, but I'm not too surprised seeing him get some buffs. Like, I just haven't been seeing much Varus for a little while, so... What is this? They, Whoa, what the heck? Snapback. Varus now snaps to face the target direction on the start of the cast. Huh, okay, so he wasn't doing that before? Like, strange. When Varus casts R, he casts it while not looking in that direction. And then it goes slower. So it's actually a nerf, I would say. It goes slower, and he now faces the direction of the, like, it makes it more telegraphed. I mean, it doesn't really change anything. What is this? Bonus damage. Oh, it's actually down. Detonating Blight stack on enemy champions like monsters now reduces all basic cooldowns by 12% of the max cooldown per stack. Okay, so I see what this is. It's like, and it doesn't work on his ultimate. It's only basic cooldowns. They're making it so blowing up the W stacks like reduces your Q and E and whatever stacks like considerably, or sorry, cooldowns considerably, but they're reducing the damage a little bit later in the game. The early damage is still the same. Cooldown is no longer reduced by 3 seconds if piercing arrow detonates a blight NEO, but they're removing this. I feel like I'm reading this like from like bottom to top. Okay. But this is, I think, slightly better than this because it works on his E as well. And yeah, it's about the same condition. Damage from blight effects detonated by piercing arrow now increased by the amount of time Varus charges it up for an additional 50%. In addition to... Okay, so he's getting more damage on his Q. They're removing this, but they're giving him something that's just as good, if not maybe better here. They're getting rid of a little bit of damage later into the game here, and then they're slowing down his R a little bit, making this small change that doesn't really seem to do anything. So I think this is an overall buff to Varus. I mean, his Qs, I don't know how big this is, but he's definitely going to be doing more damage with his Qs, and depending on how much he can make use of this, you can definitely be casting his like E and everything on you a bit more frequently, I think. His Q might be up a little bit less often if he's detonating it, but yeah. Alright, so what is this? Yeah, so when Yone changes, what is this? Way of the Wanderers, crit related effects, no. Wait to activate until any other effects that care about crit have been taken advantage of. This primarily means that the crit chance is no longer doubled before Gunsu's Rage Blade calculates its on hit damage. So I guess it's a fix with like Gunsu's being a little bit overpowered on these characters for whatever reason, or exploitable somehow. I did see a couple of Yones building Gunsu's Rage Blade, and I was a little curious about that, and I guess that is the explanation for it. Gunsu's a bit of a weird item. It like converts her crit chance into bonus damage or something these days. Blade of the Ring King nerf. I haven't been seeing like a crazy amount of Blade of the Ring King, but the times that I have been seeing it, it has come off as being like quite strong. So I'm not too surprised they're nerfing it a little bit. Like I saw it a couple times on AD carries where like I'm trying to fight someone and just for some reason, like every time I get anywhere near them, they're just auto attacking me, you know, like an AD carry does. And for some reason, I just keep getting slow by Blade of the Ring King, and it's just like, draining me, and it's just like, just feels really difficult to deal with sometimes. So I'm not too surprised to see it getting a small nerf. Not too much though, so it's not like it's been like in every game nonstop or anything. So it makes sense that it's not a huge nerf. This is the AP items, the Cosmic Drive getting a tiny bit more AP. Demonic Embrace, I've heard a lot of people complaining about Demonic Embrace. I don't know too much about this item, but I'm guessing maybe it was slightly too weak, I don't know. Demonic Embrace, I've heard a lot of people complaining though, so a lot of people have been heavily anticipating this nerf to the burn damage. It does 1.2% over 3 seconds instead of 1.5 over 4 seconds, so it lasts a little bit less long and does less damage. It's definitely a good little numbers nerf. Eclipse, I was definitely saying, you know, right when I was reading the patch notes of the last patch, I was, you know, telling myself like Eclipse is looking like probably the best one. Just at a glance, it looks like the best one out of the lethality mythics, and not too surprised that they're doing another, like they hotfix nerfed it almost instantly, like a day after the patch, and now they're doing another little nerf to it. Not too surprised. It's not a huge nerf, but it definitely is considerable because like, you know, when you're in a fight, whether you're getting chased down or you're running someone down with Eclipse, right now it's not too uncommon to get like an eclipse stack, and then as the fight kind of progresses, you get another one or whatever. Like the successive stacks as you're like hit someone and they start running, and then you get another one as you're chasing them or whatever. Now like with 8 seconds, it seems like it's only 2 seconds more, but that's 25% longer, and those chances that the odds of you being able to get two separate eclipse procs during one fight or whatever will go down by a decent amount. So it is not like a irrelevant nerf. This is relevant, but it'll probably still be solid. It won't be that bad. Oh, it's 1.2 every second for 3 seconds. Yeah, so okay, it says I read that slightly incorrectly, but yeah, same type of thing. Yeah, this has just seemed to be like a real problem for some characters. So all right, so now the Ember Knife and the Hailblade are getting some slight changes. The Omni Vamp is getting reduced by 2%, but it's going to be including AoE damage. So it's strangely enough, I've been playing Vi, and Vi has AoE damage with her E, so you'd think that I would somehow care about this, but Vi has been sustaining quite well in the jungle. Like the jungle almost doesn't even do damage to me anymore these days. Like it heals me more than it damages me, which is, compared to season 10 where it was doing a decent amount of damage. It wasn't like killing me, but I was getting a little chunk from the jungle for sure. These days it feels like I don't even care, what the jungle's doing. So, and this is like a slight buff, I think. It's 2% less Omnivamp, to be fair, but it includes AoE damage. So, for some junglers, for sure, this is going to be a huge buff. And for Vi, I think it's technically a small buff, but like it's not needed. So, you know, yeah. But I think there was just like, strangely enough, despite my experience of just the jungle doing no damage to me and being free completely, like I think there were some other people who weren't having that experience with different junglers. So, like, they needed this kind of change to make it work better for them. Not a big deal for me or anything, but yeah. 10 more AD on Essence Reaver. A little surprising, but not that surprising because I haven't been seeing many Essence Reavers, to be honest. Like, I've only been seeing them a little bit, so I'm not surprised they're giving it a little buff. And then I've seen a lot of AD carries complaining that their items are not that strong. I don't really know personally because it's a little hard to tell right when things are starting out. You kind of got to give it a little bit of time to mature and see people trying stuff out and how it plays out over the course of like some weeks and months and stuff. So, and I think Riot knows that to some degree, so they shouldn't like jump the gun a little bit too much on doing some changes, especially not with AD carry players. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I always find AD carry players are always like, just they're always complaining. It doesn't matter how strong or weak or whatever their role is, they're just always complaining. Like they're always just trying to push Riot to give them like 5 more damage or 10 more damage or whatever. Like they're always just trying to see if they can barter their way into getting a slightly stronger set of items or whatever, because the AD carry role is so based around like how much you know damage they can put out and everything, how strong they are. And I don't know, AD carry players are just like that. It's just my experience. But anyways, a slight buff to Kraken Slayer as well. I've been seeing some Kraken Slayer, so I don't know if it really needs a buff, but we'll see, I guess. The one thing about AD carry right now is like I've been seeing like just like the same like 2, 3, maybe 4 characters at ball lane like non-stop. I've been seeing Ezreal with Divine Sunder, Samira and Jhin with like Eclipse and Shield Bow, I guess, on Samira, and apart from that, it's usually like Swain, who's not really an AD carry. He's just Swain, but he's really strong as a bot lane whatever character. And was it? It was Kaisa. I see Kaisa sometimes with this weird AP build kind of thing, but that's like I haven't been seeing many of these types of AD carries too much, so maybe that's why they're buffing them. It's just like they kind of want to make more AD carries feel like they can do more. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe these changes are needed to kind of push everything up a little bit more so they could be played. It's definitely possible. Kraken Slayer's buffs seem like pretty significant. It seems like, I don't know exactly how the item works, but 5 more AD and the damage ratio is 15% higher. And then get into his Rageblade fix, it's opens it up like more versatility. And then 5 more damage to this. Like, I don't know how exactly this item works, but it could be a decent buff. Maybe I'll be seeing it a lot. Leandri's Anguish. I've seen some people complaining about this item as well, kind of in conjunction with Demonic Embrace. So they're nerfing this as well. It's just the ratio. they're leaving the rest of it untouched, so it's just the ratio is going down a little bit, but it is considerable. And if they're nerfing both at once, maybe this type of caster build will just disappear basically overnight. We'll see, I guess. Lichbane damage ratio down a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of Lichbane. I don't know, like, again, the AP items I don't have a super strong feel for, but definitely Lichbane seems decent. I've been seeing a lot, so maybe they want to tone it down a little bit. Luden's Tempest, wow, 15% less movement speed. I like that. It's annoying having Ari or whatever like throw something at me and they just fly away like crazy or whatever. Like, so I mean, I don't even know if it needs a nerf or not, but like, whatever. I can never complain about nerfs to AP items, honestly, because I don't play AP characters really. So Moonstone Renewer fully fixed an issue where Moonstone Renewer was not renewing if an ally is in champion combat, but the owner is not. I don't really know what this item does exactly. It's a support item. Increase by 25% each seconds when in combat. I don't even know what this item does. Is it a support item or an AP item, or it's like... Does it heal you and the other person in combat? It's a support item? Okay, So what are they doing with it? They're making it heal more. Starlight Grace is its heal effect. They're making it heal more, considerably more, 30, 60, 60, and 90, increased by 37.5% each second spent in combat. Okay, so they're making it heal more flat amount, but it increases less for each second spent in combat, and it has a lower maximum. So maybe this was pretty strong, I guess. But then they also fixed a bug where it wasn't renewing if the owner wasn't in combat. So I could easily see this being very annoying, but then they're changing the numbers a little bit. I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know if I've been seeing it or not. I don't think I've been seeing it too much, honestly, but I'll just leave that for what it is. Cathian Bite damage ratio, Nashor's Tooth. Yeah, I've heard Nashor's Tooth is actually really strong as well. I've heard some people complain about Nashor's Tooth being really good. Kind of going back to the Kaisa thing, there were some Kaisas building Nashor's Tooth for whatever reason. And they're lowering the ratio on that a little bit. Seems fair. Night Harvester, I've seen some people complain about this a little bit. I've seen it a lot recently, and they're just straight up just making it do like, 50 less damage, just straight up 50 less damage. So that's cool, I guess. See, Night Harvester, supersonic damage, Tech Proto Belt. They're just making it do 25 to 50 less damage as well. I haven't seen this item a crazy amount, but I have seen it a bit. Phantom Dancer. I haven't seen too much Phantom Dancer personally. It didn't seem like it was that good, I guess. I've heard some people saying that it wasn't very strong right now. They're making it a little cheaper. They're making the Spectral Waltz last a little longer, so maybe it'll be a bit better now. Prowler's Claw, I think, is decent. I don't know if they really need to give this a buff, to be honest. Like, it was more like Eclipse needed a small nerf, then they could just leave everything as is if they wanted to, I think, from my perspective. But I could be wrong, and maybe Prowler's Claw was a little bit weak. Either way, they're giving it a small little buff. 5 more damage to the, little amplified damage thingamajigger that it does, and then 5 more AD on it. So, nice little buff for Prowler's Claw. It's definitely going to be a bit more... going to give a bit more stats and damage to you if you pick that up. Still think it's an okay item on Vi. It's pretty fun actually, but I think the Divine Sunder is really strong now, so that's what I've been picking up most games. And then Eclipse kind of overshadows it, but they're nerfing that a bit too. Bringing Riftmaker, so I don't know, some people have been complaining about Riftmaker a little bit, so they're nerfing that. 10%, it's 5% less max and 1% less per second. There's a lot of AP item nerfs in this patch. I like that. Serpent's Fang. I saw this in the shop. Looks kind of interesting, but it doesn't, it was like this item that makes you deal a lot of bonus damage if you're hitting someone who has a shield. It seems kind of strange. I bought it once or twice just because, like, I was looking at the enemy team and I was like, I guess technically in this situation it should be a good purchase. I don't know. I mean, this looks kind of weird, but I'll try it out. I've seen it, like, I bought it maybe twice. I've seen it in my games maybe once or twice. Like, I don't think it's a very common item, but they're giving it a little buff. I guess technically this is bad for Vi. She's got the shields and stuff, and you might buy stacks and whatever. So, you could say it's a bad thing, but it is still an AD item, and you can pick this up if the enemy team's got lots of shields for whatever reason. But it is a bit of a weird item, I'll be honest. Maybe a way that they could change this item. I don't know if it already works this way, but I don't think it does. They can make you do more damage to people, like, if within the last 5 seconds they've gotten a shield, like, so that, like, any comp that's like revolving around shields being given around everywhere, has got this item that kind of counters it a little bit. I don't know. I'm not sure, but either way, a bit of a strange item. I don't know how that will play out. Tear of the Goddess is going to give a bit more mana and have a bit of a lower maximum bonus mana. I don't really buy this. Oh yeah, I've heard people saying this is too strong though. I've heard some people saying, like, arguing that this range of items is somehow really strong, but I haven't been buying it. I don't think it would be horrible on Vi, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel like what I really want that much. Like if I bought it, it would just have to be that it's like literally overpowered. Yeah, a percentage of the damage would definitely be a good idea. I definitely agree with you. Venus Roldex, like, this item would make more sense if they tweaked it a little bit, but it's just a weird item in general. I feel like it might not even have a place in the game. I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far on it, but we'll see. But these are pretty small changes. Like, I've heard people complain about this a little bit, but these are pretty small changes. The Man Mune and Archangel is getting 100 more. Seraph's Embrace and Mirror Mountain are getting 10 more. Tear of the Goddess is getting more at the beginning and less at the end. Like, I don't know. These aren't really nerfs or buffs. They're, if anything, they're like very slight buffs, I would say. Yeah, these are buffs, slight buffs. So I don't really know. What is it? Mid laner holds significance on play across all levels. We think of pulling the amount of power in this lane during early mid game. Weird. So they're nerfing mid lane straight up. This is just a straight up nerf to mid lane. That's so strange. Like, League of Legends got so weird over the last like few years. Like back in the day, it was like there was these like inherent rules to the game that just like you don't touch them, you don't change them, because we're not gonna like push. Like, we don't want to pretend like our game is forced to be this way. Our game happens to be this way, but we're not forcing it to be this way. But like for the last couple of years, they've been doing these weird changes like this that like you wouldn't know about unless you knew about. Like, unless you are reading these patch notes right now and remember this change exactly, you kind of will just basically not even know that this is in the game potentially. Like, it's just, I don't like that type of change at all, honestly, but some of them make sense, don't get me wrong, like making bot towers be more vulnerable early in the game or whatever, or making like jungle XP or jungle gold or whatever work weirdly. Like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I understand where they're coming from, I guess, where they've basically conceded to admitting that their game is played in a certain way and that they want to just tweak their game to work better when it is played the way that it is played. Not a huge fan, but yeah. So what is this? Mid lane Kename now give 10 less gold. Not really a big deal. It's just a tiny bit less gold for mid laners, I guess. Makes it, if anything, this makes it less big of a deal how well you control like the Kename and less of the Ken minions. So it kind of makes it so that you can play a bit more recklessly at mid lane, roam a bit more, whatever, maybe even. What is this? Mid lane Kename has now gained 30% attack speed against towers. So towers will be killed a little bit faster at mid lane. It's so strange. It's so small and so weird, but okay, I guess. Let's see here. As we wrap up, we've early surrender and LP consolation projects. We mentioned September. If there is an AFK player detected in your team after the 10-minute mark, a surrender vote can occur. For now, this change will only apply on the Summoner's Rift, and the vote must be unanimous. So, okay, so this basically means that like if someone leaves the game at 10 minutes, you can FF. You don't have to wait until 15 minutes to FF. Like, if someone's left your game at like, let's say someone died twice and left the game or whatever, at 10 minutes, you can just FF the game if everyone agrees, instead of having to wait all the way to 15 minutes. Personally, I don't even know if this is that good of a change. Like, I wouldn't agree to most FF votes at 10 minutes unless like we're like literally 0 to 20 and the guy left the game or whatever. I probably wouldn't agree, but the reason why is just because well, I just feel like, but maybe an AFK player detected doesn't necessarily mean they've been marked as AFK, but rather that they're sitting in the base. Maybe this is for like really early open mids. Maybe this isn't about AFK punishing or AFK detection or whatever. It's just about like, okay, if you guys are basically open mid, then we're opening up your ability to do a 10-minute FF. I don't know exactly how this will work, but if that's how they're going, like if that's what they're going for, then that's actually, like, personally, not that good of a change for me, because I don't really like FFing games quickly. Like, sometimes I play a game and like I'm even playing with like pro players and stuff, and like someone just like at 7 minutes is like, okay, we died twice and you just missed smite, I'm out of here, fuck this, the game's open. And I'm just like, no, we can still win this. Like, they could still make like 1 or 2 mistakes and we're just completely even instantly again. Like, let's play. And the guy's like, no, we're done. I'm AFK. You know what I mean? And they got that like Korean, Chinese kind of mindset. Like, apparently this is really common in like the Korean server, especially in the Chinese server as well. Like, a lot of people play in these LAN cafes and they just want to like get the games really quickly. They don't want to like, if the game looks messed up or whatever, they won't play anymore. I don't feel like people do that as much in NA, but sometimes you get people that are kind of like acting like that, and I feel like this kind of maybe helps those people have what they want faster, maybe, but at the same time, it maybe encourages that type of behavior more. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking too much about it. We'll have to see what it looks like in game. I don't know exactly how this works. I just like I can't get the exact meaning from the rules, but yeah, it's interesting. And apparently, if someone's AFK and the vote isn't unanimous at 10 minutes, at 50 minutes you can vote again. But now you only need a majority vote. So, like, let's say someone's AFK and at 10 minutes someone puts in an FF vote and that doesn't go through. Then if they did that, then they can put another one at 50 minutes and it can go through even if you don't want the game to FF. So, like, it really does encourage that type of behavior, I feel like. Anyways, okay. If a player on your team leaves during a ranked match rejected as AFK, your AFK loss may be reduced. Premades with a disconnect / AFK, professional players and players in promotional series will not receive this loss and reduction. So if you're in a promo series, none of this affects you. If you're in a premade with a guy who DCs or goes AFK, it won't affect you. And if you're doing your placements, it won't affect you. So forget about that, I guess. This is kind of weird that it doesn't work in promo series because, like, what what is a promo series game anyways? It's just a regular game. League of Legends, kind of random, it feels like. But apart from that, what is this exactly? Like, if someone leaves the game, you might get reduced LP. So, like, I don't know what that means. Does that mean I might lose less MMR? Does that mean they lose more LP? Like, these are so, like, they should really be more transparent with what they mean and what these changes do. And you know what? Honestly, half the time, like, for more details, read this article. But, like, how much details am I really going to get from this article? Honestly, like, this is going to be like as confusing as this, I think. Honestly, like, AP LP constellation will be capped week to week. What is it's so complicated. Like, you know, provided for those AFK behaviors, summaries, ranked games. This one says will instead of may. Like, taking out multiple variables into a game. Like, the weird thing about these types of changes to me is that, like, Riot has done so many like weird random changes to behavioral systems or the AFK detection or whatever, and half the time they don't even work. Like, I've had it be like, they're like, okay, from now on, if someone doesn't show up to the game, then you can remake, and then someone doesn't show up to the game and I can't remake, and I'm just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? So you almost just take it with a grain of salt with these weird vague wordings and everything, and just kind of see what happens in the game itself, and then you know what happens, like, or what they did, because, like, you can't even know just from this. So yeah, the white background on this, my eyes, it's too bright. All right, item shop and icon improvements. So hopefully they're fixing lots of bugs, because there's lots of little bugs with the item shop. I'm kind of sick of it. They're doing some updates to the icons. So there was a lot of people complaining that they didn't find that the icons were that easy to identify. So this is probably to, try to make the item icons a bit easier to see for some people. I felt the same way. I was like, I can't tell what the hell's in my shop, dude. What am I looking at? When the patch first hit. But I've been playing a lot the past week, and now, I mean, I feel like I can look at the shop and go through everything pretty easily. It is a matter of getting used to it, but it is possible that the aesthetics and everything weren't as good as they could be. So maybe this will help some people out as well. Stomped a ton of bugs in the shop. Our shoes are not disgusting. Ha ha ha. I don't know what this means, but hopefully that means they fix all the bugs that I know about. Ah, that's so loud. Sorry about that. A word on Discord with you. You can DM me on Twitter if you'd like. Thanks for the bits. Sorry, I'm doing a like patch review right now for a video. So yeah, I kind of have a feeling there'll probably still be some bugs, but we'll see. I'll wait and see. Maybe the bugs are all fixed. Who knows? Yeah, I'm sure they at least fixed some bugs. The font size of the shop's gold display has been embiggened. I don't know if that's actually a word, but okay, I didn't have any issue with this. Features marking now displays your debt limit in the shop, so that's just a bug fix, I guess. Recommended item card titles are now bolder. Doesn't mean anything for me. Fixed a bug where the tags and recommended items had too much padding. Doesn't mean to me. When there's only 1 or 2 actual recommendations, no empty cards will appear in the shop. Doesn't mean anything to me. Fixed purchase button hover and click statuses. I don't know what that means exactly. Player chat will now display behind the enemy shop until you decide to open it. Shouldn't it already do that? I didn't know it didn't do that. Many fixes to items appearing or not appearing in the correct tabs or filter groups. I didn't have any issues with that, but I'm sure there are bugs with that. Selected items in the shop will now have a sweet looking magic surrounding them. I don't know what that means exactly. Like, what is a selected item in the shop? Darken the borders of items you can't afford. That's a good idea. The fact that this wasn't already there, I feel like I thought it was, honestly, but it apparently wasn't. Made it easier to determine when a recommended item is not affordable. I don't know what that means exactly. I think it doesn't mean anything for me either. I use an item set, so like, you know, half of these just don't actually affect my experience of the shop. I just have everything there with my item set. And I find that's by far the best way to use the shop. I have the item set available. You guys will probably see in the description. You know, I find that's by far the best way of using the shop. But the recommended item stuff I think works decent. Like I've looked at it and everything, and it seems interesting. So especially for newer players. While the shop is open, you can now open the extended stats panel. I don't know what that means exactly, but I'll have to see. Maybe I'll see that in game. Visual and sound effects update. So it's a lot of updates to Kha'Zix to make him look cooler, basically. He was a little out of date, so I guess I could see it. Hopefully it doesn't look really obnoxious. And yeah, as long as it doesn't look too obnoxious, whatever, you know, why not make everything look a bit nicer? I don't see any issue with that. And then Vel'Koz's hit sound no longer plays twice when the Q hits an enemy for the first time. Just little visual things. ARAM, I don't play ARAM personally. Okay, now bug fixes, quality of life changes. You can't DM me on Discord because you don't have me on Discord. You can DM me on Twitter if you want. And thanks again for the bits. I'm just doing this patch review right now. Sorry. League client. We have made improvements to champion select grid, providing much smoother and more reliable experience. On Twitter, I mean. Okay. Okay, no problem. You don't have to give me bits to DM me on Twitter. That's fine. Thank you. That's so troll. It'll take less time to ban and lock champions. Animations will feel smoother. I'll be the judge of this. The reconnect button should no longer display after a match has completed. I highly doubt they'll actually fix this because this has been a bug for as long as I've ever played League of Legends, but we'll see. Maybe it actually will just not show up. When the minimum resolution for the client is selected, summoner spell description should no longer be blocked. I didn't notice that, but I don't know anything. Skin chromas for the incorrect champions. Didn't notice that. The skin is currently not available to purchase. Never noticed that. The player chat has been updated in UI tech. Blah, blah, blah. May look different, but it still has the same good heart. I don't know what that means exactly. We'll have to see. Sandra uses R after using Rocket Belt. He no longer needs. Okay, weird. Moving around the strike breaker to new item boxes. That's a strange bug. Silver Mirror Dawn. There's sometimes some really important stuff hidden in here. Like usually like half the stuff, maybe more, will just be like useless. But there'll be a couple of things that you really need to look at. So Silver Mirror Dawn no longer increases movement speed as tooltip now reflects as such. Yeah, so I heard some people saying that this had increased movement speed on it, despite it not saying the tooltip, which is really weird and kind of a huge bug. I never bought this item anyways. Maybe I bought it like once. I think I did buy it once. It's the QSS upgrade. But yeah, it was weird. It didn't say it gave you movement speed, but it did. But now I guess it just doesn't give you movement speed, just like it says it doesn't. Ginsu's Rage Blade no longer deals damage to turrets. This is kind of a big change, maybe. I don't know how much it matters, but it could very well matter a lot. Presence of Mind's mana regen bonus no longer resets each time the champion attacks an enemy champion, so it's just a nerfed Presence of Mind. I didn't even use this. Definitely not in the jungle. It's more of a laning tool. I don't know if it was strong in lane, but maybe it was because it seems like maybe a nerf. Either way, the old Presence of Mind was pretty good, but this one just kind of sucks for me, at least for jungle. But they did increase Bai's mana pool a little bit, so it's not that bad. Like if they hadn't done that, it would have been really unfortunate feeling, but because they did that, it's not too bad. Resistance. Yorick's R eulogy of the Isles, Maidens of Mist, no longer move about above him when he recalls. Huh. That's funny. That does sound mildly annoying to play against if he goes on top of Yorick when he's recalling. The champion using Shirley's battle song to buff an ally that receives a kill not properly receives an assist credit. I don't know what that means exactly, but I guess it's a support item that wasn't giving assists sometimes. No longer critically strike with Ginsu's Rage Blade when he uses third Q. Scan all the tutorial about the update. I don't know what that means. Sorry, I think you might have misspelled something. So they're nerfing Yone with Ginsu's Rage Blade. They did that earlier as well. Yone and Yasuo with Ginsu's Rage Blade apparently was a little bit strong. And this is like some bug that shouldn't even be happening that was happening that made it even stronger. Now this is one that I actually do care about. Divine Sunder's passive damage no longer works against turrets. So Divine Sunder, one of the big strengths of it, early in the game at least especially, was like once you got the Divine Sunder really early in the game, like before plates went away or whatever, you could just break tower plates like really quickly. And it was really strong. So like I had a hard time justifying not rushing Divine Sunder as fast as possible just because like I would pick it up and just, you know, destroy a whole tower with it or whatever because it would just do such insane damage to towers. And it definitely felt like it felt a little bit for sure like, you know, maybe a bit of a bug, but you know, they never got rid of it during the patch, so I figured maybe it's not a bug, I don't know. And now I guess they're confirming that they're deciding that it is a bug. Now, the only thing that I'm worried about with this is I really hope that they keep some bonus damage against towers with Divine Sunder, like maybe a Sheen worth of damage. You know, like how Divine Sunder it has like a minimum damage. The minimum damage it can deal is 150% of your base AD. So like a Sheen proc or whatever. Um, I really hope they keep that minimum proc damage against towers, but just maybe not the like 500 extra damage that it was getting before with a whole Divine Sunder proc, because like that just didn't feel quite right, you know. Just definitely considerable nerf to Divine Sunder, and I might not like I will probably still be buying Divine Sunder, but if they get rid of the bonus damage on towers completely, then it might be actually a pretty like significant nerf. If they just get the put it to like the Sheen damage proc, then I think it's fine. It's still a good item for sure. One thing though is that rushing it will be a little bit less important with this change because like you're not rushing it to abuse it against towers anymore as much, you know? You're kind of like you can build something else a little bit first and then go to it if you want to, because it's still going to be a solid item for sure against, you know, champions and everything. Now Zoe's E2 Sleepy Troll bubble, blah blah. It's Horizon Focus bug apparently activating Turbo Chem Tank while moving towards first tier turret with plays no longer gives bonus movement speed. I don't know about this, never heard of that, but okay. Players can no longer one-hit jungle creep, kill jungle creep, including the Drake, through a series of steps involving smite. Never heard of that, but that's good, I guess. It doesn't go through champion created terrain. That's a weird thing, I guess, but okay. That's like Jarvan, Talia, Ornn, I don't know. But okay, why not? Fixed Hextech, Rocket Belt, Gale Forts, Shield Breakers, Tooltips indicate their dashes cannot pass through terrain. Okay. I didn't even know that, but that's interesting. That's good to know, I guess. Tear the Goddess mana charge no longer triggers off abilities used on Gangplank's barrels. That seems unnecessary, but okay. I mean, it doesn't really change anything, but I don't know why that's even a thing. His WC Stone Trident can no longer trigger Tear the Goddess mana charge twice. I don't know why I would ever do that, but alright. Or no longer causes crashes when picked in quad versus AI. Lucian's passive Lightbringer properly triggers Mirror Mana. That's actually a significant buff to Mirror Mana on Lucian. You might see this in the next patch. Like, this is why sometimes reading this is a big deal. Like, if I see Mirror Mana Lucian the first game of 10.24, I'll know why. You know what I mean? If I see it all patch 10.24, then I'll know why. It's definitely going to be this, because, you know, it could be this could mean a significant buff for Lucian. And again, another buff to Mirror Mana, basically. It, properly doubles every third attack when the user has Ginsu's Rage Blade. So, I don't know, Ginsu's Rage Blade, Mirror Mana, Lucian? I have no idea. We'll see. Garen's E Judgment crit now properly does its bonuses now properly 33%. So a slight buff to Garen, I guess. Bug fix buff. Yeah, I noticed this. Tom Kench's Q plus W Devour or whatever doesn't break Scuttle or Shield. I noticed that a few times because I just had like 1 or 2 games with Tom Kench, and I was like, why doesn't that break the shield? I don't understand, because yeah, it just makes no sense. So that's a nice little bug fix, because it definitely hurts Tom Kench if he can't break the shields on the Scuttle for himself or for his teammates. No longer forces him to attack the closest target on arrival. I didn't even know it did that, but okay. Was that an old thing or is that a new thing? Interesting though. Misfortune Sorella describes your Everfrost and party. You make it rain no longer slows the enemy more than intended. I kind of noticed like Cyrilla's Grudge is like 30% soul for 1 second, but it feels like it's more than that for some reason. But I don't know. Maybe they fixed that, and maybe they only mentioned the MF thing here, or maybe it was just specifically bug with MF, and I'm just delusional. Katarina can no longer stack Grievous Wounds effect with R Death Lotus. What does stacking Grievous Wounds effect mean? Like, oh, getting the AP one and the AD one and getting both of them onto people? That's so weird that she could do that. And I don't know why you would ever really want to do that anyways, but interesting. Picking up a summer spell with Zoe W will, while casting teleport chart, will no longer duplicate the teleport chart. Weird, never heard of that, but okay. Revitalize now properly heals and shields you cast. Increases heals and shields you cast on or receive from allies by the intended amount. I don't know if maybe it wasn't working at all or whatever, or if it was doing too much or too little. I don't know anything because I never used that, but okay. So that's all the bugs, and then there's all these skins. They look kind of cool, you know. I didn't play, or I don't really play these characters or anything, so it doesn't really bother me, you know. But oh no, a Hecarim skin. Get rid of Hecarim. Cool looking skins though. The splash arts and everything for the skins always really good, you know. Riot Games and League of Legends, a lot of problems and everything, but the skins are always really nice. So yeah, they look pretty cool. Anyway, so that's the 10.24 patch notes. Some pretty significant changes. Mostly a lot of AP item nerfs, surprisingly, and then the tank items really didn't get nerfed that much. Like I've been seeing a lot of people, you know, the tank items are really strong and everything right now, and they didn't touch anything like that really. Like I don't see any Sunfire nerfs. I don't see anything. You know, all there is a tiny little nerf to Amumu. So we might still see the tank junglers and stuff. Your tank tops or tank junglers and stuff that you've been seeing be really strong right now might still be really strong on the next patch. This is like barely even anything. Like even Amumu will still be strong, and I definitely think like the Hecarim, who's really strong right now, will still be definitely good. But yeah, we'll see. I have to see how some of these other changes play out. Yeah, they did a little hotfix nerf, but that was like 2 weeks ago or something, and the tanks are definitely still really strong. It's a Sunfire Cape, that is. Anyway, so that's the 10.24 patch notes. I've looked at everything now, and yeah, hopefully you guys found that helpful and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go play some more games now. Take care.